All right, so I just left meeting one of my first time home buyers. Very excited for her. And so while I got some downtime, I wanted to share some tips with y'all about what to look for when buying your first home. And one of the first things you should do is when you're going to get pre-approved, you should shop with three different lenders. And so what this does is comparing apples to apples. You get to see who's going to give you the best rate and the best deal because the lender is the bank. Okay, so you can get a different pre-approval and take a different look from three different lenders. And the credit bureaus know that you're mortgage shopping. So you need to do this within a 30-day time frame. Within 30 days, talk to three different lenders and see how much you get approved for. Some you may get a lower interest rate. Some have different programs going on, like 1% down conventional loans or down payment assistance. Or if you're buying a home in a rural area, they may have the USDA program where you pay no money down. And so this is a great way to shop around and make sure you're getting the best deal and who's going to work the best for you and your needs at the time, while only getting one pull on your credit report within that 30 days. So the credit bureaus allow that. So that's the first tip. Shop around for your lender. In addition to talking to the lenders, if you see a home you like, go ahead and get a loan estimate. So what they can do is they can pull up the potential taxes in that area and hypothetical uh, homeowners insurance. They can kind of guesstimate how much it's going to be, and plus your mortgage and insurance. And so they can give you an estimate of what that's going to look like when you buy that particular home. So if the home is 300K, they can tell you just about how much your monthly payment's going to be, how much money you got to put down, how much your closing cost is going to be, without knowing how much you're going to get from the seller. So this just give you a rough estimate about how much it's going to cost, and then from there you can work on, okay, so if I can get 10,000 from the seller to pay down the closing costs, I won't have to bring that much to closing. Or if I use down payment assistance, I won't have to put this much down. But it gives you a great starting point to know exactly pretty much how much that house is going to cost you every single month, taxes, insurance, and everything, private mortgage insurance if you got an FHA. And so you just have a better foundation to start with, and you're not getting blindsided about anything. Like, oh, well, I see a $400,000 house, at 6% interest rates. How much is this going to cost? And so you have an idea of what that's going to look like. So you're not blindsided, and or you have something to work toward if you have to work toward that goal. Tip number three, have a plan in mind. So if this is your first home, are you planning on staying at home 3 years, 5 years, 7 years? And I say that because most than likely your first home is probably not going to be your dream home, but you plan to stair step into your dream home. So buying this home for 3 to 5 years, as long as nothing happens and nothing changes, and then you can take that equity at the end of that 3 to 5 years, and then use that as down payment and closing costs or whatever to get into your new home without paying capital gains tax as well, because you're applying that equity that you earn and putting it toward another investment so you don't pay taxes on that. And so just have a plan, because I'm working with a couple now. We did the exact same thing. Bought a house 2 years ago, started a home, $300,000, and everything went great. Stayed in the house 2 years, and now after that 2 years, they saved money, they worked on their credit and paid down equity, and now they're able to get a $600,000 home, which is closer to that dream home that they want, with way more space, and it's still a good mortgage payment because we're buying down the interest rate. But we had a plan in the beginning. Well, like the first home is not the starter home, but it's something y'all can stay in for a couple of years. It's going to meet your needs now. But the next house we can get customizations, we can get all that stuff that you're looking for, more space. Over 3,000 square foot, big backyard. We can do all that at the second house. But we had a plan going into that, and so now they're very excited about buying that next home that is going to give them way more space and customization like we originally planned. So have a plan when buying your first home. All right, I want to make this video too long. So the last tip is to check and see if the house is in an HOA or not. If it's not, cool, it's probably fair game. If it is in an HOA, you want to check their rules and regulations, because to see what that HOA allows and what it doesn't allow. So like when I moved into a house with a HOA, they didn't want a basketball goal in the driveway. And my kid was playing basketball at the time. It was just easy for us. You need to check and see what they allow and what they don't allow. You may want to paint your garage or put one of those screens, on the garage where you can leave the garage open but flies don't get in. Or you may want to put some stuff in your yard, or have a certain amount of cars in your driveway. And the HOA may not allow that. You may get fined for that. You may want to water your yard 6, 7 times a week. And so there's different things that the HOA allows and don't allow to keep the aesthetics of the neighborhood the same. And so check with that stuff first to see if that HOA is going to be a great fit for you and your family for that time period that you're going to be there. And then also go take a look at that house that you do like at different times, not just, you know, you know, 8 a.m. on a Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? Check in the evening to see what it looks like. Check what it see what it looks like at night. There's a lot of activity going on, and even on the weekends, is there a lot of things going on the weekends? A lot of cars everywhere and parties and stuff. Or is it just like nice and calm and peaceful? Kids playing outside, like you may or may not be looking for at the time. And so go look at it at different times, even if it's raining. If it's raining outside, go see if that house, holds water in the front yard. If the water is like a mini lake in the front yard or is flowing like it's supposed to. Go look at it different times just to see, because you're going to be living with that once you get into the house. And so go take a look at those neighborhoods, see what they allow, what they don't allow, how they look at different times, and with how the house looks at different times. And that'll give you a better idea of what you're getting yourself into, because you can't pick your neighbors. When you move into a house, you cannot pick your neighbors. Luckily, I've had some great neighbors over the years. That's by the grace of God. But I've heard horror stories, or you got some crazy neighbors out there. So you don't want that. So go take a look at the community beforehand a few times, and in relation to, if you got kids, how far is the school? Are they going to walk to school? Are you going to drive them to school? What does that look like during school time? Is it easy to get out? Is it going to make you late for work? Is there a different way you can go? Really do your research about that stuff, because you get excited about the house and getting in, but we don't look at the logistics of everything. And then, a year down the road, we're like, man, I don't know if this was a good purchase. Like, there's so much we got to do and overcome just to, make it to work and get out the neighborhood, because we're buried in the back. And so sometimes that works for people because they work from home. Sometimes they don't. So take all those things into consideration before you buy your first home, because they're going to play a major part in that purchase. The day-to-day things. Stay focused on the goal and what you're trying to achieve. But think it through. Don't rush. Think it through. This is one of the biggest purchases of your life. So think it all the way through. And then, once you got everything lined out and figured out, let's go for it. And great thing is, I'm here to help. So I love working with first time home buyers. I was a first time home buyer myself. And so I get it. It can be a lot, but it's completely rewarding. I love being a homeowner. So if you got any questions, you can reach out, you can DM me, you can hit my line, my cell phone, it's in the bio. But first time home buyers, it's a buyer's market now, a lot of leverage. We're able to get $10,000 and $20,000 in closing costs from these builders and some of these sellers for my clients. So that way we can keep some money in their pocket, and then they can, buy a house and then go shopping after that. Because you got to furnish the house and stuff like that. And so, I try to take these things into consideration. Okay. So y'all know what it is. Let's buy a house 2025. Let's get it.